Okie dokie, moving on with the agenda. Next up, we have Palmer Houchins, who's a Vice President of Marketing at G2. Palmer, if you're around, please join me.
Hey there.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Yeah, normally we see each other at physical events. I think this is the first virtual event.
I know we like to hang out in the same places in the real world, but it's good to see you in the virtual world as well.
Same. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about your insights. So I'll give you the stage and I'll join you for the Q&A after.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks so much. Appreciate the invite. Hey, everybody. I'm Palmer Houchins. I lead marketing here at G2. Before G2, I led marketing at a couple of G2 customer companies, so CallRail, and then before that, I spent about 8 years at MailChimp, and excited to chat today about customer insights. And because I've got some little ones at home, I've do a lot with the ABCs, so I've decided to kind of focus on the ABCs of customer insights. But before that, I did want to say, as someone who grew up in Mississippi, this is the closest I'll ever get to the real Wynter Games. So thanks for having me on. And shout out to anybody who had the 1994 Lillehammer Wynter Games on their Sega Game Gear, like I did. Well, with all of that small talk out of the way, let's jump into the meat of the material here. So like I said, I've got the ABCs of customer insights for us today. Our A is pretty simple. It's just ask. I think a lot of times we try to overcomplicate our customer insights model. So I'm going to talk through a couple of ways that we just ask about it here at G2 and ways that I've done that in past lives. So our big initiative for customer insights last year was launching what we call our EAB, our Executive Advisory Board. And then we've also got a number of customer councils underneath that. So with our Executive Advisory Board, what we've done is invited 10 to 15 of our best customers to participate. We get folks at the C-level. We really want to hear those high-level insights. We ask that they commit to 2 virtual meetings and 1 in-person meeting a year. We spend, say, an hour and a half, 2 hours on the virtual meetings, then ask them to commit to a full day for the in-person event. And really, for us, it's been revelatory. We're sort of a product that a lot of folks at every level use, but sort of on the commercial side, on the actual G2 customer side, in many cases, it's a lower level employee, it's a practitioner who's in their day-to-day using G2. So getting a group of these C-level executives in a room, asking them where are gaps, what do they know about G2, where does G2 live in their organization, it really highlighted some opportunities for us. It highlighted areas where we need to do a better job with executive engagement. It also just highlighted some gaps in our product. So that for us was a big opening sort of for insights over the past year. I think beyond that, we've also built out a number of what we're calling customer councils. So we have those across all of our segments from SMB to enterprise. These are more of the day-to-day sort of champions for G2, the folks who are in sort of the back end of our system on a daily basis. We try to get them together quarterly, and we really just want to get insights of where can we be doing better, what can we improve, what do they like, don't like, and I think that just that constant dialogue of asking is a huge benefit. Even looking beyond that, we wouldn't be G2 if we weren't drinking our own champagne. So we do run very concerted review campaigns throughout the year. We want folks to tell us what they like and don't like about G2. Leave those as reviews on G2. We respond to them. We follow up with them. We use that. Literally, our product team is in there on a daily basis, gathering those insights. I did want to jump way back to when I was at MailChimp, and I joined MailChimp when it was about a 100-person company. There was a dedicated user research team already at that time, and frankly, it was a requirement in marketing to join that you had to start going on customer visits with that user research team. At the time, MailChimp didn't have a sales team. It was all self-service. And so going to those customer meetings, my first one, the user research person backed out. So I was leading these customer interviews for 6 different customers in Nashville, Tennessee. And I learned so much through that. Really a great opportunity. I would encourage folks outside of the sales setting to just get out, go visit, go see your customers, learn their problems, learn what's working and what's not. So that's our A, just ask. The B of our ABCs today is brand study. And I think that can be a loaded word. Of course, you've got the former MailChimp guy here advocating for brand, but I think brand studies are a very, very healthy way of understanding some customer insights. And I'll give you 2 examples, one big and one small. The big example I will give is from back in my time at MailChimp, where we ran towards the end of that, when MailChimp was a pretty large organization, we ran an international sort of customer market research initiative. And, a lot of folks think brand study, it's like, what's awareness? How are folks thinking of billboards and things like that? But really what this survey helped us crystallize is we served this SMB segment, and we were like hyper-focused on these different verticals within it. It really helped us roll that up and understand there were really 2 use cases. There was an entrepreneur who was really trying to run an SMB, thought they had to be doing marketing, didn't want to get into the weeds, but we really needed to resonate with them. And then on the second piece, that as an SMB starts to mature and they bring on a marketing person, that's the person who really wants to kind of dive in, learn the ins and the outs. So you have a generalist and a specialist. How do we model our product and our marketing to serve those folks? Yeah, that was a lot of questions and a lot of other insights that we pulled from that, but those were 2 big pieces that I think anyone can do. That is that's an insight of a bigger company, bigger resources. If you want to be scrappier, some interesting ways that I've done brand studies in the past. SurveyMonkey's got a great, relatively cheap tool that you can kind of go ahead in there and use it yourself. We've done that here at G2. I promise that the folks at Wynter didn't put me up this, but I think that it's a great resource for if you want to go out and kind of run a targeted brand study. You have some good questions that you want to get answered. It's a great way to do that. So I think you can look at big brand studies as both kind of big and small opportunities, depending on what your budgeted resources are. And then, beyond that, going back, we run a buyer behavior report every year here at G2, and that's something that I think you can layer in those brand sort of customer insights into questions that you're running through your own sort of thought leadership. So ABCs, we've got ask, we've got B, brand study, and our C is really competitive intelligence. I know Wendy in the last session touched a little bit on this, but competitive intelligence is something that's really valuable to us that we want to know. We've looked at this for 2 different ways. The first one we did a year or 2 ago, and we essentially ran a secret shopper program where we had someone go out and shop all of our competitors. And yes, that's helpful from the basics of like you're learning pricing, packaging, what are they offering kind of underneath the hood, but for us, it was even more valuable understanding what does our sort of ideal customer want? What are they looking for? Where are their gaps in the market? How can we better serve them? So that secret shopper exercise is a great one. And then the last one that I'll mention here is a little bit more of kind of drinking our own champagne. G2, we have a competitive intelligence product that we call G2 Market Intelligence, and we use that regularly. It gives us insights into sort of product perception, win-loss, pricing, and contracting, so we can see who folks are switching to. We can understand kind of how that value is perceived by current customers, and we can track that key customer sentiment. So I think I'm hitting my 10-minute mark here. So I'll wrap it there and just say thanks for having me on. Appreciate the ABCs of customer insights, just ask, brand study, and competitive intelligence.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Palmer.
Yeah.
So in that brand study, what are the key questions that you ask?
Yeah, it's really about what you want to get at. Some folks want to know, like, how is our sort of awareness and recall compared to our biggest competitors? Other folks want to go a layer deeper and understand, like, how are you how are you interacting with our brand? Like what are we actually doing for you that others aren't, or that where can we be doing better? So again, a lot of it is like how much, how much time and kind of resources and budget can you put on it? But I do think that there's a good opportunity to layer it into what your needs are.
No, absolutely. Like if you look at consumer companies, doing quarterly brand tracking is like the standard. Like everybody does this. Like in B2B, very few companies do it on the regular. And some of it, I think, is also because for the consumer companies, it's very easy to do this. Consumer panels are extremely cheap. 100,000 vendors that can do this for you. For B2B, it hasn't been the case. At Wynter, we recently rolled out a brand tracking thing. It's like a $4K a quarter to survey like B2B execs. But yeah, as you said, open it's like a aided recall, unaided recall. Like in the CRM space, what are the first brands that come to mind to see if they mention you? Right. Then let's say our company is called CRM. CRM, what do you think about this brand, or what do you think we do?
And where that's, I'm not just trying to plug you all stuff, but that goes back to the B2B reports you guys did recently of like that short list is largely developed before you even get an at-bat there.
Yeah.
So if you're not in that sort of unaided recall like bucket, like you're gonna have a hard time winning. And so that's just something that I think B2B marketers need to get more attuned to it. And I think our B2C colleagues know that. And we can track sort of like marketing effort to revenue better than B2C folks can. And so that's why we like always dive into the demand gen side. But like you've got to have that high level brand layer nailed as well, or at least it gives you a competitive advantage.
I have a follow-up question about your customer advisory panel. So we have one at Wynter. The challenge I have, like you said, you guys do it quarterly. Usually it's like what they told me last quarter. I mean, these are still issues. Like, are you learning new things every month? Are you asking different things? Like,
yeah, we are. I mean, we do with our executive one. We do that 2 or 3 times a year, so it's spaced out a little bit more. And a big ask from a lot of the folks that participated in that is like, we want to see that you're. Again, not everything that gets mentioned there is something we're going to make a promise to follow up on, but the ones that we walk away and say, hey, that's an issue, we want to address that. At each one of those, we try and provide an update of like, hey, we heard this, we did this. I think when you go a little bit further, like down to the more practitioner layer, that's where you can even get more granular of saying like, hey, we heard there was an issue kind of on this section of my G2, we updated it. What do you think of this new layout, this new format? So I think there's a give and a get there of like, if you're getting that feedback, you want to action it. If you're just coming each time with like a new set of like, hey, what do you think? How's it going? Then that's where it's either going to be crickets or you're going to go off on these tangents that you don't really want to go down. So there's just sort of a level of focus that you've got to have when you run those.
Yeah. Are you doing this as a group call or is one-on-one?
Group call. So we do, most of them have a G2 kind of facilitator, and then anywhere from like 8 to 15 folks on them. And like in our executive advisory board, we bring in most of our C-suite alongside them just to like really hear and prioritize what our customers are saying.
Sweet. Awesome, Palmer. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was great.
Everybody give Palmer a follow on LinkedIn, and we'll see him somewhere. He's usually at conferences.